Everybody, thank you all for attending today's panel discussion. It's our first event celebrating the 30th anniversary of the establishment of 91.3 FM WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative, and a lot of us can say that. We'll be saying that until the grave. We have a panel discussion today entitled Radio Built for the Future. I'm Al Reese, and I'll be the moderator for today's panel. I'm a reference librarian here at Buffalo State, but also served as, I guess you could say, an adjunct member of WBNY for almost 22 years, between 1988 and 2010, hosting a variety of specialty music shows on Saturday mornings. There are two other anniversary events open to the public this weekend celebrating BNY. Later today at 3 p.m. in the classroom building, room B119, is an event called Showcasing Student Weather Forecasting, a Unique Opportunity. So the little panel thing is over there on that table. The showcase will highlight how students can provide focused weather forecasts on media such as radio and beyond. Steve Vermette from the Geography Department is here, and he'll be taking care of that. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., Rockwell Hall, the 30th anniversary concert featuring local artists Dotson Moon, Whiskey Reverb, Intent to Sell, and Dr. Ooh. Tickets are $3 and available at the box office at Rockwell Hall. All right, thank you. If you aren't familiar with BNY, the station began broadcasting on the FM dial in 1982, and it's managed and staffed by students of Buffalo State, and it's funded by the Buffalo State College Student Activity Fee. WBNY offers a wide range of programming, including sports, talk, local music, local live music, and specialty music shows covering many genres, but the primary focus has always been alternative music. Before I introduce the panel participants and go over the format, a couple of shout outs. We have the current GM of WBNY, Nick Stutzman, who is right here. And is Megan Jones here, the program director? Well, if she shows up, we'll point her out to you. And Andrew Katsinas, the WBNY who did a whole lot of planning and sweating and all that other kind of stuff for this event. Before we move on, though, Tom McCray, the longtime faculty advisor for WBNY and local radio personality, will start off with a couple of words.
Thank you, Al. Thank you. Good evening or good afternoon, I should.
Tom?
Oh, you want me to get what?
Sure.
See, I never realized, I don't think I need a microphone necessarily. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Radio Built for the Future. My name is Tom McCray. I'm a faculty person on the campus teaching broadcasting and been in radio for many, many, many years and continue to be so. It is nice to have you here to listen to this discussion on Radio Built for the Future. And I was thinking a couple of other things that are celebrating 30th anniversaries this week, as a matter of fact. One of them was the opening of Epcot at Disney World, and the other one, the beginning of the CD. Compact discs started at just about the same time that WBNY did. I don't know if there's any correlation of the two. However, CDs are losing favor, but I like to think that WBNY is not radio in itself. I think is still as strong as ever. I'm guessing that most of you still listen to radio on a regular basis. It's free. For the most part, terrestrial radio as we know it, the WBNY broadcasts on the FM dial, several stations on the AM dial. It is there, it is convenient, you're in your car, you got the radio, boom, it's there and it's all there. And the convenience of it, the fact that it's free, all makes it, I think, still a very viable medium. Yes, there's a lot of competition for your listening hours, but I like to think, in fact, I got a couple of things here, that number one, radio listening is up. And a lot of that radio listening, in other words, a number of people listening, is due to, number one, Hispanics, is probably the biggest audience change in radio is Hispanic and young people, bringing the numbers listening to radio up again, and also affluent people. 60% of people making $100,000 or more listen to radio every week. And I think those are things. And also the fact of smartphone listening, which is one of the new aspects of radio, but people can pick up radio stations on their smartphones. It is something that people, you think of as mobile, but a lot of, frankly, most people actually listen to their smartphones at home on their couch. And so it's still there, it's still a very much a viable medium, and I won't say any more, I'll let the panelists discuss. But once again, I thank you all for being here this afternoon, and I'll turn it back. Oh, and I want, on behalf of the alumni and the current WBNY staff members, we thank you, and we hope that we'll see you at other events here for the weekend for WBNY's 30th anniversary. Alice, all yours.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, here's the panel format. I'll give you the format and then introduce the panelists, but before I do that, there's munchies and water back there, so help yourself. Each panelist will make a presentation on a particular topic. Other panelists will join in on the discussion, so feel free, panelists, to comment on what your fellow panelists are saying. We'll max out each discussion at 10 minutes in hopes to have questions from you at the end. Questions will take place at the end of all the presentations. We got a mic here. You'll just step up to the mic and we'll take you in order. So here are the panelists, not necessarily from left to right, but in alphabetical order. So John Bobby, you can give a wave to everybody. There he is. John graduated from Buffalo State in the early 1990s with a special degree called 20th Century Popular Music that was made just for him, and he was a member of WBNY for 4 years. In addition to DJing in the alternative music format, he hosted the Razzmatazz program. Remember that one? And co-hosted the Rooting About Folk Roots World Music Show during its first 2 years. After graduating, he relocated to New York City, where he began his extensive career of writing and producing for all kinds of media. His credits include stints with Oxygen Media, The Late Show with David Letterman, Comedy Central, ABC Radio, and CNN. Currently, John is a writer and producer for the Ultimate Travel series on the Travel Channel, and he is a senior writer for the Mercury Radio Arts Glenn Beck program. Next up is Richard Cumston, one of our students. Rich is a member of WBNY, and he's on the play-by-play broadcast team for Buffalo State football games. He served 2 terms as the station's sports director between 2010 and 2012. Rich plans to graduate from Buffalo State this December with a major in journalism and a minor in psychology, and hopes to pursue a career in sports broadcasting. Paula Green D'Amico, there she is an alumna of Buffalo State and was a member of WBNY, where she was news director for 2 years and public affairs director for 1. Her affiliation with WBNY opened the door to internships, as she says, at 2 Buffalo radio stations, which in turn led to a career in news radio as a reporter and anchor at both WGR and WBEN in Buffalo. She then moved to television and served as producer at both WIVB Channel 4 and most recently at WKBW Channel 7, where she has been for 15 years. Next up, Scott Gaddy. All right. Scott is our second student on the panel. He is scheduled to graduate from Buffalo State this May with a degree in media production. He's the production director at WBNY and hosts a wide-ranging talk show at 91.3 entitled BLT, which covers the topics of news, sports, food, music, and more. Scott works part-time at Cumulus Broadcasting in Buffalo and seeks a career in radio focusing on programming and production. Ben Kirst. Ben is the digital communication manager at the Buffalo News, where he is involved in the management of Buffalo.com. social media, email marketing, and more. He's a graduate of SUNY Fredonia, but we let him in anyway, and began his career as a print journalist for the Dunkirk Observer in Dunkirk, New York. During his career, Ben served as assistant to the director of media relations at SUNY Fredonia and public relations assistant at the Rockefeller Arts Center in New York. Ben has written for a variety of publications, including Art Voice. Finally, we have Howard Simon from WGR Radio. Howard graduated from Buff State in 1984 and was a member of WBNY in its formative stages. After leaving Buffalo State, he worked in radio in Elmira, New York, and Toledo, Ohio, before returning to Western New York in 1989, working at WJJL and WBEN Radio, and then the Empire Sports Network. Since 2004, Howard has been at WGR Radio 550 and co-hosts the morning show with Jeremy White from 6 to 10 a.m. weekdays. So we got a great panel, and the only thing we didn't talk about is who wants to start. So,
I'll start.
okay, and Paula's topic.
And Howard says, ladies first.
Okay, Paula's topic is empowering future broadcasters. Paula, take it away.
I'm breaking formula already. I'm not going to use the microphone.
You c-
Hold on a second. I got to two of them.
There were props? I didn't get a note about props.
Yeah, I didn't bring that.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paula D'Amico. Oh, I have to use a microphone. My name is Paula D'Amico. I'm an alumni of WBNY, and I've served as news director and public affairs director back in the 1980s. And I've been in radio and in the television business now for about 25 years. And today, I'm not going to talk about myself. I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to give you some tools of the trade. I'm going to help empower you as you go down that road to success. Some of these tools you may already carry with you, but sometimes you forget them. And you need a little reminder, or shall we say a tune-up. Oh, we got that one up. Great, that's the one. So here are a few of the tools. A positive outlook. No matter what job you have, especially though in broadcasting, you really need a positive outlook. Walk in with a smile, have a good attitude. It's going to be a great day. Sounds kind of corny, but it does help your day. That positive energy will help you have a positive day. Respect. Extremely important to have respect. Respect for yourself and respect for the people that you work with. I'll give you a good example. Nick, say Nick and I are working together. We're at Channel 7. We work together, we're a team. He asks me for help, I give him help, he asks me for help, we work together, back and forth. The big boss comes down and says, hey Nick, I'm thinking about giving Paula a raise. How does she do in her job? He says, oh, she's great. She works with me, she helps me out, we work together, she works with everybody. Bingo, nice. The boss says, okay, I'm gonna give her a raise. Or the boss comes down to me and says, Paula, how's Nick coming along? How's he doing on that web stuff? Oh, he's doing great. He helps me, I help him. Awesome. He gets his raise. We help each other out, and then we help each other go up another step in life. Being respectful is so important in the workplace. Confidence. You gotta be confident. But there's a difference between being confident and being conceited. If you're confident, you can walk in and do the job you know you can do. Don't be a diva. Please, just be confident. Work at your skills, which is our next topic, skills. You're learning skills here at Buffalo State, and they're great. Now you're going to get the opportunity to take on an internship. Please, if you take on an internship, when you walk in that door, use every resource that you can. Talk to everybody that's in that room. Follow that reporter. Write for somebody. Make some phone calls. It's your way of networking and connecting early. Please don't sit there and do nothing. Or text. This is your opportunity. Your opportunity to learn something new. Adaptation and change. You have to learn to go with the flow. That's the bottom line. And reinvention. This business changes like that. You need to be able to not just change, but sometimes you have to reinvent yourself. Sometimes when you walk in that door and you're hired as a reporter, in a month or two, that may not be your only job. You might be doing something else. You have to be willing to open your arms and embrace what you've been given and hone your skills. You need a personal goal, whether it's short-term or long-term. And most importantly, and I'm sure all these gentlemen will tell you this, you need passion. Passion for what you do will help you succeed, and no matter what you do. But you need to be passionate about it. You need to love it, because when you love it, you're going to work at it. When you work at it, you're going to get farther. When you walk in the door, you're going to be like, woo! And when you walk out, you'll be like, yes, that was a good day. That was a good show. I put on a good show. I did this, I did. You have to be passionate. So what you do with these tools, how far it takes you, completely up to you. It's in your hands. Thank you.
We heard from someone that just exudes passion there. Students, Rich or Scott, any initial reaction? You are about to step in the world that Paul has been in and our other folks have been in for quite a while. I think Rich is going to start.
Well, with everything that she just said, I think passion is definitely the most important thing. If you're going into something and you don't like it, you're not going to have a very good time. If you do like it and it's something that you really want to do, people are going to notice that, and people are going to be more around someone who's happier all the time, more upbeat than someone who's down on themselves and miserable on the job.
Absolutely. In my time of my internship there, and Paula made another good point to sort of rub elbows with any opportunity that you might get in an internship, because I work in a pretty big office that houses a few little radio stations, and I try to pop in and see what as many people are doing as I possibly can, and learn from as many different people and glean every which way to be the best Scott of all trades that I can be.
Can I just add something on the internships? Paula is a gazillion% correct. I'll give you two examples, at least two that we have at WGR. At least two of the guys who work there came in as interns and got eventually hired and moved into full-time positions. In fact, our Bills reporter now, by the guy by the name of Joe Biscaglia, who's very good at what he does. Joe started as an intern. So you start as an intern, you get to part-time, you get to full-time. Our former morning show producer, Dan Hager, started as an intern. The point is, as Paula mentioned, people see your talent, people see your ability. They see you perform, they see how much you can handle, they see whether you have initiative to say, give me more, or what else can I do to help out? And when a job opens up, the boss says, hey Joe, you want to work here part-time? Absolutely. And then things just kind of roll from there. And like I said, now he's our full-time Bills reporter. He's the sideline on the broadcast of the games. He'll be on the charter to San Francisco on Saturday covering all the road games. I mean, he's doing really well for himself at a pretty young age, and it all started because he was an intern there.
I can actually jump in on that same point as well. My staff at Buffalo.com has grown from myself to 4 people who I have underneath me right now in the last 2 years. Of those 4 people, 3 of them started as interns. They did such a great job that we found ways to make them full-time. The 4th person on the team was actually friends with one of those people who became a member of our team and had a skill set that fit into what we needed. So absolutely grab those internships and wring everything you can out of them. And the one other thing I would add to Paul's list, which I agree with 100%, is preparation. Being prepared on the job, there's no substitute for that. It shows your professionalism, it shows your maturity, and it allows you, even as an intern or as a really professional young in your career, to really start making an impact on what's happening in your business. The great thing about this field is that it is changing every single day, and you have an opportunity to make big changes yourself, right when you come to the door.
I'll add one more thing, perhaps capping it off on a more dour note, if I can blunt everyone's enthusiasm for a second. I graduated in 1991. I'm 43. And some of my peers in the industry, we often talk about this, and maybe some of you hear of this, but there seems to be this notion that the generation coming up, there feels to be a hesitation of dues paying, of people who kind of come in with lots of enthusiasm, and because when I graduated, no one had cell phones or microwave ovens or lots of contemporary conveniences that we all get used to today. The means of production for radio, television, podcasting is all very democratic. Everybody gets to do it. Everybody's got a smartphone and can do unbelievable things. I mean, your phone can do more than the nicest video camera could when I was a student. So they come in with lots of, I have a blog, I do this, I do that, and I would say the best way, if you're looking to advance in your career, be it as a student, as an intern, or as a young professional, would be the best way to become a PA is to be the greatest intern. Do the intern responsibilities great. Know you can do more, know you're capable of more, but be satisfied with being a rock star at the thing you're doing. Be the greatest PA, and then you will get to be the world's greatest AP. And to take it slow and really excel at the things you're doing early on. I think not only does that prove to be politically smart in terms of showing that you're willing to do the things that are less awesome, but it also just gives you a lot of, you will get better because you will have mastered each step before you take the step that's in front of that.
Okay, great. Thanks, panel. Who would like to be next? As I'm looking at Scott and he looks away. Okay, Scott Gaddy is next, and this is what we did when we were proposing topics. We asked Scott to, in part, respond to this question. Do you think your experience at WBNY will be helpful for careers in media beyond radio? I asked him, you grew up in a time that offers dozens of media choices. You chose to become a member of a radio station. Do you think your experience at BNY will be helpful? Scott Gaddy from BNY.
Absolutely, I think that's true. While there are a bunch of various millions of Democratic different media outlets on there, just on the internet alone, not to mention every single other outlet out there. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I chose, BNY is the reason I came to Buffalo State College. I read an article in the Buffalo News like my senior year of high school about all the illustrious alumni that had been working in radio and TV that had gone to BNY. I'm not making this up, I promise. I'm not trying to. And I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. And then I actually tuned in to BNY, and the first thing I heard was one of their sweepers that said, and I quote, "We love local musicians because they make as much money as we do," unquote. And I'm like, I'm sold, all right, I'm going. And as I found my experience there, one of the things that I think is helping me the most is that I'm getting more out of my comfort zone. I'm experimenting more with the different shows that I'm doing. I just started with a regular little music show, and the fact that I am doing more at BNY and a bunch of different various talk shows is helping me to get out of my comfort zone in other areas, either at Cumulus or wherever they may be. So it'll help me lead. Well, I was able to do this at BNY when I thought it would never work, so why not try something new out here in this completely different field that's completely different from radio? I'm just talking hypotheticals at this point, but I mean, I've been experimenting with shows. What am I trying to say here? I guess I want to say that I've discovered with the different talk shows that I've done that gimmicks are good, in that gimmick always seems to get used as a term of abuse a lot in radio, that it's just a cheap little trick. But really, with the age of so many different choices that you have available on the internet and on the different media outlets, it's a lot harder to grab attention from any one given listener, let alone a huge group of listeners. And we know there's a bunch of folks out there. I mean, Facebook just hit 1 billion people, 1 billion users at 8:30 this morning. You know how I found that out? Facebook. Of all places. So it works like, works like that for a news outlet as well. And, I mean, the thing about gimmicks is that a good show or a good premise selling in one line can bring people in before they even hear a note of the music or even hear a word of the talk show. Just a premise or an idea. I mean, you know, gimmick is the more slanderous word for it, but I think you can bring that sort of appeal, like I do with the BLT show, or like there's a show on BNY on Fridays that just by the name of it brings people in, just because it's so wacky and has its different sense of humor to it. The title alone, it's called The Tom Hanks Show minus Tom Hanks. And it implies all this weird marketing. There's flyers all around the union with this Photoshop picture of two puppies running, except one is photoshopped and replaced with Tom Hanks' face. And it's just goofy out there and reflects that style. And people who, it makes you look, even if that's not your sense of humor, it makes you do a double take, like, what the hell's going on with that? And it brings people in. And that's something I really admire. I just forgot to say that.
So, any general comments from the rest of the panel on what Scott has to say?
You know, I think Scott brings up a lot of good points. And radio helps you, I love that word ignite, so I'm going to use it again, ignite the creativity within you. You don't have a camera in front of you. You're relying on your voice, your personality, your ideas, your words. So radio is a wonderful way to start because you figure out maybe where you want to go. What do you want to develop? Yes?
The young man with the tie.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. McCray.
He's breaking the rules,
I
but
will
we'll let him.
have to say, I will have to say that I think, and I believe Howard, because I've talked to him, will agree with me to a certain extent, but, the industry essentially is being ruined by ownership in keeping budgets so tight and cutting away a lot of the creativity. But my guess is that one of the things that will help the radio industry survive, as you kind of mentioned, Scott, and that's what made me think about this, is just good ideas. Our, innovative thinking that will say, wow, what a creative idea that is, because nothing will make you listen quicker to something than if, hey, I was entertained by that, or I was informed by that. And those are the kinds of things that will keep this media alive, this medium, I should say, alive, longer than anything else, despite what upper management may try to do. I hope there are none here, but there you go. That's my comment.
Okay, Tom, thanks.
Yeah,
Howard, you were ready to go.
I'll add to that. In fact, when Paula made the comment about this conversation at Channel 7 about the pay raise, I'm here to tell you I work for Entercom. We don't have those conversations at Entercom. Tom's right. It could be very depressing. We're doing more with less. I can only speak for, well, I can't even speak for, I guess all of Entercom, but certainly WGR. We're doing more with less, which means it's more important for you to be creative. And, Scott mentioned grabbing the audience. Not only do you have to grab the audience, you got to keep the audience. And that's more difficult than ever because of the competition, the smartphones and the iPods and the internet and all the different things that are out there. It's harder. There are more places for you to get your information. We have to find a way to keep you with us longer because that's how we make our earnings, our ratings and everything. So it's very important to get creative. You can't just open the mic and say, Bill's lost, let's go. You've got to come up with different ways. I don't know if bells and whistles is kind of an insulting term, but you got to come up with other ways to make, in my business, sports talk creative. Make it more fun, make it more entertaining. It can't just be the same old, same old. And actually the guy I work with, Jeremy White, is the epitome of coming up with creative ways to make an issue more entertaining or find a way to get you to listen to us longer. And since there's less staff, it is more incumbent upon you to come up with more ideas because there aren't, 10 people in the room trying to brainstorm. It might just be 2 or 3 people in the room brainstorming.
I want to ask something of Rich and Scott. How creative are you allowed to be as creative as possible at BNY?
I feel there's no limit to what we're allowed to do at WBNY. It's going to welcome many different types of shows and many different types of gimmicks, if you will, and I think that's a great thing. The great thing about our station is you're going to see things that you're not going to see, or hear rather, at other radio stations. Like you mentioned, the Tom Hanks show, minus Tom Hanks, your show, the BLT, the best sandwich on the radio, just different quirky things.
Even your show. Who thought of mixing old England with sports talk show to make the sports monarchy?
Yeah, exactly, like shows like the Sports Monarchy. Many different things that you can try to do that you might not be able to do, elsewhere. So it really gives you that creativity. And on a radio station where you're broadcasting to Buffalo and ultimately broadcasting across the world online and via smartphones and stuff like that, I know personally when I've used the TuneIn radio app, I'll accidentally hit a button and stumble upon a different radio station. And sometimes, if I like that radio station, I'll add it to my favorites. If I find it entertaining in just those 5 seconds, as something to come back to. So really, you want to be as entertaining as you can and as different as you can all the time.
Exactly, and I think college radio as a medium, because actually College Radio Day was just this past October 2nd, I believe, celebrating like the second or third annual College Radio Day, and that celebrates the mentality that college radio has always sort of had in its bands and in the bands that it plays and in its talk shows, in that weird is good. We play the bands that are on like more independent labels and more laissez-faire, so they're able to be as weird and as freaky as they've always wanted to be, and it runs exactly the same way with every single talk show probably that's ever been on BNY in its history.
I want to ask this of the veterans on the panel. How much can they get away with weird is good in the real world beyond BNY, in professional media, paid for media?
Working for Glenn Beck, I can tell you that weird, certainly. The is good part, I think, would be the in question mark there. It depends on. I mean, I guess everyone has a different characterization of what is weird. I mean, if you like my guy's variety of ultra right, conservative, faith-informed, family-friendly point of view, then yeah, that's very, very good. It seems interesting that college radio has such a specific sort of goal. I mean, not just an educational, but like the programming that you put out, and with podcasting, which seems to be kind of the natural evolution of radio, the conversations that are happening on air are so incredibly specific. And that, I mean, I work for a guy who's a syndicated radio host, so he's all over the place. So his conversations tend to be, or strive to be, somewhat universal in that they're things that all listeners can relate to. But the other side of that coin, not just college radio, but the way that most media, most communication is going, you can have a much more specific point of view and attract a far smaller audience and yet be very successful, because you are specifically catering to a niche of the market that is super focused on what you do. And I think that speaks to not just radio or podcasting, but television, websites. I mean, we can count in real numbers how many people are watching or listening or participating, and that allows you to structure your ad dollar in a specific way so everyone can earn a lot of money. You don't need a huge, a carpet bomb of a hit that everyone likes for all the same reasons and still be successful.